Welcome to the Degrees of Success podcast. My name is Freda Richards, and I am your host. Today, we are joined by an incredible guest. We have Takeisha Sykes. She is an author, an owner of a nonprofit, and a two-time University of Phoenix alum, currently getting her doctorate in business. Kesha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Listen, you have an incredible story. We've been chatting about it a little bit offline, and I just want to jump in. Tell me where this incredible character came from.
Okay, well, I'm the oldest of five. My mother, she's a graphics artist, a seamstress, and she sung Middleton, the first Black cheerleader. So, that's my mother. And then my grandmother, she did a lot of art too, but she was a seamstress as well. She did a lot of things in the community. And I came from two strong women. So being the oldest of five children, though, it was a little tough because, we didn't come from no money or anything. So my mom worked and I had to be home and take care of the kids. So at 5 years old, I learned how to cook, change diapers, pick bottles. And my aunt, every time she talked to me, she talked about, you remember you used to take your little chair and put it in front of the stove? So I did a lot of stuff. I had a lot of responsibility. And being born back then, when I think about it now and being born back then, I was like, no, I shouldn't have been doing that. But when you come from a certain life, a lot of things you don't know is trauma. So you go through a lot of things and you don't know it's trauma. You don't know you're suffering. You don't know, if you miss a meal, well, we just didn't eat today. So, it's just a normal, but it's not normal, but it was our normal. So seeing how my mom struggled and she was into a lot of stuff, doing a lot of stuff. We were homeless as children at one point. I used to be teased a lot in school. So I would be I didn't talk a lot. I didn't do a lot of talking. I did a lot of fighting, but I didn't do a lot of talking. And at 18, I don't know, I got put out my mother's house at 16. So when I was 16, I got kicked out and I had to figure it out. So 18, I went to Job Corps. And when I went to Job Corps, I did a lot of things. I got my plumbing. I had a certification in plumbing. I got my GED and stuff because I always still tried. No matter what was going on at home, I always still tried to do something. I always tried. So, things weren't always easy. And I got pregnant at 18 and had my first child at 18.
18. Where does that drive come from? The always trying. Where does that drive come from in you? Because I'm hearing a pretty tumultuous upcoming with, mom and grandma being incredible, working really hard. But at 5, you're quite literally at a stove and responsible and helping raising your siblings. So where do you think that drive comes from?
Just being in the environment that I was in, seeing my mom and my grandmother both just keep going no matter what they were going through. They just kept trying to push through. Just watching them. Being raised by my mother and my grandmother, I had a balance because when I was with my grandmother, I'm doing stuff, being in the neighborhood, doing different things. My grandmother had me in Cub Scouts. Everybody was like, why not Girl Scouts? I said, listen, I was a tomboy anyway, so it just there. And so I was always doing different things. My grandmother was an Eastern Star, so she had us in different parades. And I always had to lead the parade. I'm like, why? Because I'm shy. So she was like, no, just keep going. And it was just that, just being in an environment. When I'm with my mom, is like I'm raising the kids, I'm there with them, and I'm always having to be with them. And I'm not able to do too much because I'm always have to babysit.
Let me ask you a question. Were you your grandma's favorite?
Some people think that, but my grandmother had my grandmother, no, I wouldn't say I was her favorite. I wouldn't say her favorite, but I mean, she had me a lot. So when I first was born, she had me from birth until I was like 5 years old. My mom was still in college. So my mom was going to college. My mom was 24, going to college and doing her own thing. She was a party girl, you know. But I always spent a lot of time with my grandmother. So it just was natural. It wasn't like I was her favorite. A lot of my family think that my mom kids were my grandmother's favorite and favorites. And it's just that we were there. She had us in the field, doing the vegetables, picking the vegetables and stuff. We had to shuck and pick and shuck corn. So I keep like, one, we're always there. And then when our cousins come, they just get the joyful grandmother, and we had to work. We were in the yard, like picking weeds and stuff. But I think that helped us be who we are now. All of us be who we are.
Absolutely. I think it's instrumental. I like you. My mother had me at 19. And then she went off to the military. And my great grandmother, Freda, and my grandmother, Wanda, had a great hand in raising me. And just like you, they put me in all the things, including like tap, jazz, lyrical, modern. I did all the things, dance wise, and a few others. I played guitar. I was horrible at that. But if they thought that I could, they would put me in it. So I understand that. And then that pattern, your mom had you at, you said 24?
Yeah. And my grandmother, she had me in modeling. My mom had me in African dancing. So I was always doing something. I think they tried to make sure that we stayed doing something active so we wouldn't be like in the streets. So we were all active and always doing something.
That's incredible. I love that they were very intentional with you all. Tell me, as you were the oldest and you're clearly leading your siblings, you had to have someone to look up to yourself. Who was your inspiration as a child?
I didn't have really any inspiration because I was too busy. I couldn't go outside. So I wanted to go outside. I was in the window looking at everybody else outside. So as far as inspiration, I didn't have no one to look up to but my mom and my grandmother. So we couldn't even listen to music like that. So I don't know.
Sounds like both your grandmother and your mother were very influential, and in different ways. Tell me about, I know you had a very close relationship with your mom because along with being an author and owning a nonprofit and having your own energy drink, which I can't wait to find out more about and also try, you also had your own radio show in which she joined along with you. Can you tell me more about that?
My mom was very supportive of everything I did. So when I did the radio show, she would always be the first person to call in and be on. So then I just bring her on so she can talk to the guests and everything. And she'd go to the store, she'd have me in her pocket on the phone, and she'd be like, my daughter's on the radio. So like she just liked to brag. So when she got cancer, we found out she had cancer. She was in a hospital, and she made me stay in her room because every time I went out the room, it was like a lot of people sitting there telling me, and she was like, see, my daughter's famous. And like, she was always bragging, saying I'm famous. I'm like, no, ma, I'm not famous. Like, she was like, then why is all these people following you inside my room? So she told me I had to stay in the room and I couldn't leave. So, but she was very supportive of that. And she was very, very proud of that, of me being on the radio. But doing the radio, I was very shy. Like, that thing says, you have, your show is scheduled to go live in 5 seconds. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm panicking, having a whole anxiety attack. Like, people that's next to me said, listening to you, I never knew you do this on the back end. I'm like, no, like, listen, on top of sweating, like tears about to come out, and it says, you are now live. And then I have to get myself together. I'm like, what's good, everybody? So, yeah. So then it was go time, and I just had to go.
And you did it. I could see why your mother's proud of you, because what a way to triumph. If you are an introvert or fairly shy, but you have this gift inside of you, you have an incredible personality. As soon as I sat down and heard your voice and got to chat with you, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be so much fun. So I could see how other people could be taken back that you would be shy just due to the fact that you have such a genuinely incredible personality. And I want to dive in more to not just your personality, but really your character, because you were a caring person. You have a great desire to want to help people. Tell me about how that desire leads you and what it is that you've done with it thus far.
Well, knowing that, all the things that I witnessed and I've been through growing up, I don't want to see other people go through that. I know I didn't mention this, but I was a foster mother. So being a foster mother, I had, they gave me, I asked them only for one child, and they gave me 3. And it was like, oh, it's just temporary placement. They were just going to spend the night, and I ended up having them. But they all looked up to me like their mother. Then I had other kids that was a part of the program that wanted to come to me because I'm the only foster mother that's actually buying their foster kids things. Like, but they told me not to get too attached to the kids and that I can't look at them as a mother. And I'm like, that's what they need, though.
Right.
They needed love, and they was like, no, you can't get close to them, and you have to make sure that you look at this as a business and look at them as a check. And I was like, I can't do that. And then I had one little boy just kept begging to come to me. He's like, please come, let me come stay with you. But I had girls, and the girls that I had were pregnant. And the girls by me having these pregnant girls, I couldn't mix the two because he was an older boy. So I couldn't have him, but the girls. So I told him I couldn't have him. He eventually went to his mom, and then he got killed by his brother.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so then I stopped doing that because I know these kids need hope. I know these kids need love. I know these kids, the kids that I had, they were from different backgrounds. So it wasn't something I was used to being around or having to deal with, but I tried to nurture them, and that is what helped them. Because the one girl, she is a great mom. The other girl, she's a great mom too. But it's like they came from 2 totally different backgrounds, and raising these other people's kids, it was kind of hard because one was 14, one was 15, and I had a 10-year-old boy that was a sibling of the 15-year-old. Fostering, I do not recommend, but if you have the passion for it, because you're not really getting, they wanted me to look at these kids as checks, but you're not getting money to make it seem like it would be worth that. Like, you got to have passion for it. But I'm watching all these kids getting hurt in the foster care system. And that made me want to do something for like young girls or young teenagers. I'm looking into doing something like that because one of my foster kids that I had, she still keeps up with me. She always called me on mom still. She always calls me whenever she feel like, she needs somebody to talk to. She told me she got her own business too. And she told me that it was because of me that it inspired her to do all the stuff.
Of course it's because of you, because you are a light. You took the opportunity to help these children in the midst of them becoming mothers themselves and the sibling. That in itself is a huge responsibility, especially because at the time, were you an empty nester? Because I know your 4 children are out of the house now.
I was not hardly an empty nester. My daughter had a baby. My mom had just passed. So it was kind of like I'm going through my healing, but then I'm trying to nurture these kids because, like, I don't know, kids always gravitate to me for some reason. And I don't know, I just felt this passion. And actually before I did it, I was talking to my mom on her deathbed about it. And she was like, "You will make a great foster parent. You should do it." And that's why I did it.
Because mom told you you'd be incredible at it.
Yeah, but she didn't say that was going to cause me to have gray hair.
She did not. I'm sure she didn't say that part. Oh my goodness. So you have been a servant to those who were in desperate need. That has been an echo through your life as you helped your mother when you were 5 with the other siblings, changing the diapers and feeding them and so on, helping grandma in the garden, shucking corn. Remember when the worms would come out of the corn?
Oh, that's why she had us do it. These are trained up worms. So that's why she had us do it. But I've seen so many people suffer throughout life, and I've suffered throughout life that I want to show people, I want people to know and understand that they don't have to be stuck where they are. Because a lot of people feel like because of how they grew up that they have to remain that, and they don't. It's like everything is a choice. And you have the power to make that decision on yourself of what you want to do with your life. And I want people to understand that. But I also want people to feel passion and feel love. Like I want everyone to experience love, because love is a beautiful thing. And that's like a big thing for me. Like I really want people to know that they are loved, know that people out here care about them. So that's why I help the homeless. I feed the homeless. I make a meal and do that once a month. And, sometimes it gets hard because I'm using my own money. It's hard to get donations and stuff. But it's something I want to do. So I don't want to beg nobody to help me. It's something that I chose to do. And I'm looking at a lot of these people and people will say, these people chose to do that. Yeah, some of them do. Some of them do. And the reason they do, because I talk to everybody. I treat everybody like a human being. And I talk to these people and I listen to their lives. And if you listen to them and talk to them, it's a lot to learn from these homeless people. Because some of them had come from like money. And, they went through a loss. Like they went through a divorce, or they lost a child. Like they suffered some type of trauma that made them just give up on anything else. So I listen to them and I learn a lot from them. And a lot of people don't understand, but you can learn from everybody and everything.
You can learn from everyone, and your perception may not always be correct. I had a situation where a young lady explained to me that she saw a gentleman that was homeless, and she'd given the gentleman money. And this lady was like, "Don't give him money. He's just going to use it for liquor." And later, she'd gone back to that same gentleman. He did have, I think, a beer or something along those lines. Then she said, "Well, why do you drink? Like, don't you want to do something better?" And she said, "Well, when you sleep on the ground at night, there's bugs and critters and things that crawl all over you. And there's nowhere else for me to sleep. And the only way that I could rest is if I'm inebriated, because the bugs stop me from being able to rest."
Right.
And I thought, well, wow. when she told me that story, I mean, if that doesn't open up a perspective, people can be judgmental, but in
Yeah.
reality, this gentleman just wanted to sleep because where he's sleeping is infested with bugs and other things.
And they are passionate people. Like, they help each other. Because when I was homeless as a child and my mom had 5 kids, being homeless, all of them helped her with her kids. Like, everybody was giving her stuff. Like, these people are people who don't have anything, and they were giving her things. And then when I became homeless as a parent with my children, a lot of people was helping me. Like, a lot of the mothers that was inside the shelter was helping me. So, like, when I'm in the street, like, if I'm walking down the street and I see something, I'm like, I can get one of those. Like, they don't mind giving. Like, we are very passionate people. They really look out for each other.
So you experienced homelessness as a child and again with your own children. And you had the opportunity to see other people give and take care and share for survival. And you now have a great passion to do the same thing for others in that same situation.
Yeah. I've always been a giver, but I've always been a helper. I mean, I've always been a helper. I know that people be looking at people like, oh, they're on drugs, they're on alcohol, but you don't know their lives, don't know their history. You don't know what they're trying to cover up or, stay away from, because you don't know their experience. And people that know some of the details of the things I've experienced, they try to figure out why I don't do anything. So I'm like, I don't know. I just choose not to. What else can you do?
Well, there's other things that you could do, but you make a wise choice to do otherwise, which is focusing on giving back, focusing on changing the trajectory of others' lives, focusing on giving and loving, and creating books and guides to help people get out of that tragedy. So I want you to give me a little information about, I mean, you're an author, and your passion is to help people. And this particular book, the last one that you wrote, is actually about healing people through emotional trauma.
The last book is like a journey, spiritual healing, a journey through spiritual healing. So it's called The Audacity. Like, it's like the audacity of you thinking that you're not good enough, or the audacity to think that you don't deserve great things. So I created a book to guide people on, if they wanted to heal, different steps that they can take to go through that healing.
Give me a synopsis. What would be a few quick steps to help heal during, if you had those types of triggers?
So, shadow work is one. I go briefly through shadow work at the beginning. Through self-love, I go through meditation, yoga. I give different steps of meditation, because a lot of people say that they don't know how to meditate. And so that's why I, put in a book the steps of meditation. And it's okay that if you lose focus, it's okay to just regain focus and get back into it. You just got to keep trying.
Are these steps that you took? Because I know that fairly recently you lost your mother, who you're very close with. And that trauma, that grief definitely lives in your body. Are these steps that you took to help heal?
Eventually, yes. The first steps I took was to try to keep myself busy, which is not really a good step, because you're not dealing with the emotion and you're not dealing with the pain of the loss. And you have to deal with it. And crying is a form of release. So I had to set aside times where I needed to cry to get a lot of that pain out. So that is a part of releasing and going through it. And once I went through that, then I started taking the other steps of letting go, forgiving, and healing.
I can't imagine the pain of losing a mother. I recently lost my grandmother, who I was very close with. October 26th was the 1 year anniversary of that. And I did EMDR, and that was super powerful. And I, like you, decided to jump into doing all of the things. So it's right when I started my doctorate. It's right when I just got into everything. I actually was going to run for councilwoman as well, just simply thinking, you know what, I could win that. That's fine. I'll just do all of those things. To your point, people make different choices in the midst of grief. It affects everyone very differently. And it is not processing it. So I imagine that your book will really be helpful for people, not only in grief, but people that are dealing with childhood trauma. I know that you said that you were also passionate about men and healing. Tell me more about that.
Well, men don't get a chance to heal. They don't have, a lot of men don't have the avenue on how to heal because they're always taught that they have to be the man of the house. They have to be the support. They are putting all these responsibilities that they don't get a chance to. No one actually asks the men, well, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And I notice a lot of people feel more passionate towards the woman, and the men be left out. And I'm seeing all these videos, and I'm watching a lot of stuff. And I saw where a man had found out a child wasn't his, but everybody went to the woman, embracing her, and he's standing there in tears. Like, I see stuff like that all the time, and it just, I get a little emotional about it, but I just feel like men need an avenue on how to heal, and men need to know that it's okay. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to heal. It's okay to cry. Because, a lot of men are taught that you're not supposed to cry. And it's okay. Because if you're holding all this stuff in, now you're just angry for no reason.
Right. Where does your passion for men's mental health come from? Because I completely understand where childhood trauma comes from. I could definitely understand where grief comes from, and then obviously your desire and love to serve and help. Where does the passion come from for men's mental health?
Well, I was a tomboy and always was around men. So I was always around guys and trying to understand where they're coming from. They always talk to me. So by them always coming to me and talking to me, and these are men from all walks of life. I've had millionaires cry on my shoulder, and I'm just shocked. Like, you think these people have everything, but they don't. So it's like, I'm just big on love. Like, I'm just big on love, and I want people to embrace love, and I want people to know that, I just want people to know love. I love love. I love the word. I love the feeling. I just love love. So I just want people to feel that and experience that. And I guess my passion for men is like from the guys that I used to have to work with, seeing their frustration, seeing the things that they went through, and how hard it was for them when they're trying to be on the road and going on tour, and they got this person in the ear just demanding all this stuff, and I'm like, sheesh, y'all really be going through that? And and then I see my brother. I only have one brother, and I see a lot of stuff that he has dealt with. So I just have a passion. Like, it's not like I grew up with a father, so I didn't grow up with a father in the home. So I just see things. It's just see things that I see, things that people come and talk to me about, because a lot of people feel like they can talk to me about anything.
We heard you say that you were kicked out at 16. How did that manifest for you? What happened after that? Where did you go? Who did you connect with?
Well, I got kicked out because we stayed in the apartment. Now, my mom used to work all the time, so she was never home. So the lady upstairs told my mom that there was a car parked in the driveway overnight. So she tried to tell my mom that I had somebody spend the night overnight. I'm telling my mom, no, it wasn't. She told me to get out. Later on in life, of course, she found out that it was the lady's daughter sneaking someone in the house where she lived while she's, but neither here or there. So I walked around the street for hours at first. And then this guy came, a guy I know, he came, took me to his aunt's house and asked his aunt if I could stay over there. So then I stayed with the aunt for a little while. Then my cousin had an apartment, and I went to my cousin's house. So then I went to a friend of my house, and then my mom eventually sent for me because I was in school. I was in high school, so I was still trying to go to school. And my principal and my assistant principal, they were like, you are such a good person. You are such a good student. We don't want to see you out here. Won't you try going to Job Corps? So then I applied to go to Job Corps. So they sent the letter to my mom's address. So she went looking for me to send me off to Job Corps. So that's when I went to Job Corps. And I got my GED, and I got a certification in plumbing while I was in Job Corps.
So you have a certification in plumbing?
Yes.
You are a master of all things. A master of all things. So at 16, you are put out because your neighbor lied on you, and your mother was distraught, and understandably so. But you leave. Luckily, a friend picks you up, and that friend's mother encourages you to go to Job Corps, and that's where you got your GED.
No, the high school I was going to, they encouraged, because I was also a part of I was also in the Explorer program at the time. The Explorer program is when you are wanting to be a police officer. So at one time I wanted to be a police officer. So I was a part of the Explorer program, but that didn't work out for me anyway, because some of the officers weren't very nice. So, some of the officers, when they were supposed to drop me off home, they would do things that they shouldn't have done. So I decided not to maintain that program, but I still was trying to go to school. But I had to take the city bus to the school, and I was late every day. So that's when the principal and assistant principal pulled me to the side and talked to me, because they knew I was trying, even though I really had nowhere to go, really. They just told me that it would be best for me to try to go to Job Corps.
Wow. So you're put on the street. You then are in an Explorer program, and the police officers who are supposed to keep you safe are doing the opposite of that. And then that's when the school gave you the idea to go to Job Corps and get your GED. You've dealt with a lot. I feel confident that I only know a minuscule amount of what it is that you've had to deal with, whether it be your childhood or moving forward to where you are now. How do you push through these things? Are you using the trauma to drive you to do better and to help others?
So with me and dealing with trauma, what I tell myself, what I try to do is try to see the good in everything. So even if it's a traumatic situation, I try to take something out of it, because things happen. We go through experiences, but those are experiences and those are lessons. And what do we learn from them? And you're just supposed to learn from everything. And I try to. It taught me to be more cautious about my surroundings. I read people very well, so I'm not comfortable with everybody, because if I feel, I'm an energy person, so if the energy isn't right with that person, then I won't be talking. Like I'm talking like this now because you guys all have good energy. So it's like, no, I don't want to talk about myself. And then action, here it is. And here I am.
I mean, we already know that it's the 5, 4, 3, 2. You feel the sweat. You feel like you're gonna throw up, and then what's good, y'all? Isn't that what we did on the radio station?
Right. So I went through a lot of trauma, and I didn't. So when you go through so many bad things, you don't know, like you become comfortable in it in a way, and you have to kind of fight your mentality to think it differently because I watched a murder at 5 years old, and our neighbor was killed. And when our neighbor was killed, I'm looking at it. My mom was thinking I was talking about something on TV. So I'm telling her all the stuff I'm seeing. I'm seeing the man go inside the house. I'm seeing the man stabbing her. I'm seeing the woman pulling the curtains down. And I'm telling my mom everything that's going on. And she was like, turn the TV off and go to bed. So she's thinking, I was watching on TV, but I was in the window, which she already had told me to go to bed. But, so I saw that because we were in the trailer part. So our trailer was facing the road. The main road is this way. Our trailer is facing that way, and a lady trailer was facing towards the road. So her trailer is like right here, like ours. So my room is like where her trailer was, and my mom's room was like towards the front of the road. So I'm like seeing all this stuff happening, and my mom didn't know what was going on. So the police had knocked on the door and said, there was a murder next door. Did you hear anything? And I peeked my head out to something. Then shut me back in because when you're in a certain area, you don't say anything. So you get taught, see nothing, say nothing. See and don't see, say and don't say. So she was like, no, we didn't hear anything. And then she just closed the door. But I was kidnapped at 6. So, yeah. So when you're going through all these different things, it's like when it's one thing after another, it just becomes your life.
A murder at 5, kidnapped at 6 by who?
Well, my mom was dating this guy who he did things for people, but he was in love with my mom, so he didn't want to do those things for the people anymore. And they told him to come talk to them, and he wouldn't. So they kidnapped me for him to come talk to them.
Oh my goodness. They held you ransom?
They didn't do anything to me. They just wanted him to come. So yeah, pretty much. But yeah. So with that, I always went through stuff. So by me always going through stuff, it's just like, oh, just another thing, and then just go through it. Because after a while, you know that it's just temporary and it's not going to last as long as it seems like it's going to last. So you're just in it at that moment and you just got to fight through it.
It's interesting to hear you say that because I hear you've written a full book to help people with childhood trauma. And I could definitely see where that passion came from. And when in speaking about yourself, you're saying it seems like it's going to last a long time, but it won't. And then, you could keep pushing. But the trauma's still there.
For a long time, I never knew it was trauma. So it didn't bother me because I didn't know it was trauma. I'm just like, it's just a part of life for me. So it's just something else that happened. So it's like, you just see that. But what it taught me is you don't live in it. You don't stay in it. You visit it, learn from it, you take something from it, and you move on. And it helps build you up to be the person that you're meant to be.
It definitely helped make you resilient in a way to where you can see trauma, and instead of running from it or being afraid of it, you run towards it to try to help. So 6 kidnapped. Walk me through like adolescence. What's going on during like 11 to teen?
We moved a lot. So it when I think about different aspects, I have to think about what school I was in or whatever, because we moved a lot. I went to 3 high schools, 3 middle schools, and like 6 elementary schools. So we stayed moving. So through 11, I mostly used to have to defend myself around that time in school. I mean, back then I didn't know why. I just thought I was ugly, and I was like, I must be ugly. And I always thought I was ugly because things was happening to me at school, and girls would pick on me. And it just was when I became an adult, I knew why, because they would be like, oh, your hair is long and curly, and that couldn't be your real hair, because why is it curly one day and straight the next day? And then when I became an adult, they're adding me on Facebook and like, oh, you still got that long, pretty hair. So that's what it was about. So I used to get teased and picked on a lot in school, but that's just in school, because when we got out of school, it was a different story.
What happened out of school?
I was a fighter. I used to fight a lot. So I didn't want to get in trouble in school.
Protecting yourself?
My sibling, because I didn't have anybody to protect me. So I had to protect them, and everybody just knew me as a fighter. But it always seemed like I was a troublemaker because I was fighting so much. But I'm always defending myself and defending somebody. So it wasn't like I was a troublemaker. I just always had to defend.
You're a protector.
Yeah. And I'm very passionate with kids, because I want to protect them. And they go through a lot. So I try to tell people, don't argue in front of kids. Like I'm just big on nurturing, I guess.
And trying to preserve children's innocence.
Mm-hmm.
Because yours was robbed at at the very least 6.
5. When I saw the first murder was at 5. The second one was when I was a teenager. I saw these guys shoot somebody. So it's just, I don't know. But what's crazy is when all this stuff is going around in the neighborhood and everything is going on, and you got all these big people in the neighborhood that, like, they will always look at me as like, hey, you're not supposed to be in the street. Like, it's nothing special about you. You don't need to be here. And no matter how hard, I'm trying to get in the street. And I was like, no, hey, you go. So I was protected from the street by the people in the street.
Wow. They saw it in you, even when you didn't see it in yourself. And even though they were in the street doing things that most likely aren't honorable, they still thought, no. You go, you be preserved. So similar to what you want to do for children and keeping their innocence, they did their best to do with you. Like, no, you're special. There's something about you. You're going to do great things. Go back inside.
Uh-huh. And they would I don't care what neighborhood we lived in, that's what they all would say. They all. But they would teach me about hustling, so to speak, but it was always like doing the stuff that I do. But they would just teach me the basis. I learned from it. Like I said, I learned from everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's the best way to learn. Everyone brings value to the table. Quite literally everyone brings value to the table. It's all about perspective. If you're not able to see someone else's, how could you possibly be able to connect with that particular audience? So I think that makes great sense. You were telling us offline that you have a multitude of businesses. And now I'm hearing that part of your growth and love for hustling and having, all of these businesses may have come from, your earlier childhood and meeting these people in the streets that knew that you had that better in you, but then also gave you all the knowledge that they could in regards to setting you up for great success. Tell me about your current LLCs and all the different businesses. Like, I just wanted to hear you run those down because you were a busy lady.
So I have a spiritual business called True Divine Treasure. I meditated on that. Actually didn't want to start another business, but that came to me. So I have to do as my guides tell me. So it's called True Divine Treasure. And then I have the nonprofit is New Birth Transformation House. And then I have hookahs and other accessories.
You have great passions. When you like something, you then figure out how to perfect that thing and possibly start a business, such as your CMOS business as well, you were speaking about. And you also have a great deal to do with some music industry work as well.
You're just going to creep.
You're a busy lady. I try. You got to give us a little more. Tell us a little bit about that journey, because your journey is important. We've just moved our way through adolescence. I want to know where the desire to get a degree came. You're already balancing so much. You have 4 children. When did the desire to get a degree come from, and what was the purpose? How did you think it was going to benefit you?
The desire for the degree came after I created my nonprofit. So I'm doing my nonprofit, Googling, researching, trying to figure out how to be successful at it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to go to school for this. So I went to school for business, and I got my bachelor's degree. Now, going the bachelor's degree, that was a struggle. Like, that was, when I say struggle, like, that's when...
Tell me why.
It was when COVID came, and it was just like, things were just changing, and then we had bought a house in between that, and it was like, I had one challenge was, I found out I had a huge fibroid. I couldn't walk at one time, so I was in a lot of pain, and I had a huge fibroid, and I'm trying to do my schoolwork and stuff while fighting through the pain in between getting surgery and all kind of stuff. So it was like, oh, this is for the birds. I was ready to quit. I was like, man, forget this. I don't want no bachelor's degree anymore. Like, I said, I'm not doing this. But for some reason, some fire inside me was like, no, you done came this far. You can't quit now. And I was like, man, forget this. So I'm fighting. It was like 2 little, one bad angel, one good angel. It's like, they fight each other with swords. Like, no, go, no, stay. So I just eventually went through getting through my bachelor's. And then I was like, oh, that was easy. Like, oh no, I was crying. I was struggling. And then my last get my master's was like a real struggle. Like, I was fighting through it. So then they was like, do you want to do your master's? And I was like, no. And it was like, think you'll do great in your master's. I was like, oh, I'll try. How long? Because that's my question. Like, how long I gotta be? So it was more than a year or so. I was like, well, yeah, hey, it's not bad. So then I did my master's. The master's wasn't that bad because I got a good GPA. I mean, I got a good GPA for my bachelor's, but I was trying to stick to my 4.0 for my master's, and my last class defied me. That's a lot, but I A, but I got A minus, and I was so heartbroken.
Oh my goodness. So are you telling me you got all A's in your master's program?
I got an A minus.
It's an A. You got all A's in your master's program. Understand that this isn't like your bachelor's or high school. In your master's program, in your advanced degree, you had all A's, and you did it. What was the amount of time you said you did it?
It was a year. Oh, it might. I don't know. It seemed like forever. So, but it was an A minus. I was so heartbroken, and then they were calling me like, "You're doing great. I'm so proud of you." I'm like, "A minus now." But the one thing I love about University of Phoenix is how they check on you and call you and make sure that you're doing good. And, if you're behind on something, they check on you like, okay, is there anything we can do? Can we help you with something? So that's what I love about University of Phoenix. And that's why I plan on getting all my degrees at University of Phoenix.
Well, the fact is that you are getting the most advanced degree right now with University of Phoenix. You're getting your doctorate.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. I don't know how often you get to hear this, but let me be very clear. I am so proud of you and your accomplishments, and I'm not just talking about pieces of paper. I'm talking about the fact that you get up every morning with all the things that you've experienced. I'm talking about the fact that you were still serving people and taking it out of your own pocket. I'm talking about the fact that you were feeding 7 dogs and you don't want them.
I'm not an animal person. I think it's after raising 4 children and they're all back to back, and you had 4 teenagers at one time, and you always hearing mama tell them to leave me alone, mama stop, mama please, mama, like thinking about dogs is just like having more children. So it's like traumatized.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of having more children and just balancing all of the things that you are currently doing incredible at, what does it look like at getting your degree in the middle of COVID? Starting with your bachelor's, working your way to your master's. How did you find space and time for your businesses, for your family, and ultimately to continue getting all A's, regardless of the minus, in your master's degree?
Well, honestly, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. A lot of people say I'm doing a lot, but I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Like if I was busy with one thing versus another, it would feel like it, but everything has timing. So it's like I'm rotating things. Like when the one thing slow down, then another thing pick up. So, but a lot of people need healing, and right now, especially at this time, I've been noticing a lot of mental illness. And that's from people not dealing with their trauma from the past, or just dealing with a lot of different things. I have family members that has, done drugs and stuff. And the reason why they do that, which as I always understood, is because they experienced something and they're just trying to mask that feeling having to feel. So they try to numb themselves from feeling anything. So I do understand that. And that's why I try to help people. And I don't judge people. I don't judge people about anything they do, because any type of judgment for anything is like, I'm not the higher power. So I can't, say what's good and what's bad, because what's good to me may not be good to somebody else, and what's bad to me may not be bad to else. So I can't judge anyone, especially by, because of the way I feel.
You're absolutely right. And the grace that you give others, I pray that you end up giving to yourself as well, because you are doing so many things. I don't know how you're not battling being overwhelmed at times, because you're doing so much. So kudos to you, and just knowing how to balance those things. You have you're getting the doctorate now, and I heard you say that was due to help with the nonprofit. Tell me more about your goals with achieving that degree and how it's going to be helpful for the nonprofit.
So me getting me just going to school, I did learn a lot of things. Like, a lot of the things was like common sense. And then there were things that I already knew because I was already in business. But I learned a lot of other things, and it helped me with aligning my business in the correct way and making sure that I know what I wanted out of my business. And I know the doctorate will do the same.
It's also helpful to have someone so very knowledgeable about how to do business in a nonprofit. Typically, people who get their degrees in business either start their own business or go to help other businesses. So it's a beautiful thing, personally, for me to see someone looking to get an advanced degree to serve in a nonprofit. I think that's, I personally believe that is an incredible desire from a person such as yourself, especially because you have grown so much from dealing with all the things from 5 into being a mother who was also homeless with her children, and having those experiences to where you changed the trajectory of your children's life to not go down that exact same pattern.
Well, I tried to.
You tried to. Did they veer?
Not to the point where they're like in the streets and stuff like that, but they're on the right track now. So they're really seeing things, and they're really focused, and I'm really proud of all 4 of them. Well, at least now I am, anyway.
Listen, they have an incredible mother. The example that you're creating for them, the example that not just with words, but clearly with your actions, will lead them down the right path. You were teaching them in the way in which they should go. So I wouldn't worry. Your mother started it, or your grandmother started it. Your mother continued it, and you were polishing that path so that maybe next they'll be coming to University of Phoenix for degrees, and you're finishing. Are you the first to get a degree in the family?
No, all my siblings have degrees. Everybody has. I have a sister who's a doctor. She's a chiropractor.
So just like your mom created incredible children to do awesome things, because your sister, like you, was homeless as a child, and now she's a doctor. You, same situation, and have triumphed to having several successful businesses, a multitude of interests that you continue to dive into. I can't wait until I hear you on the radio or see you on TV, because I know that that's probably next. And then you're getting your doctorate to continue to help other people. So your mom clearly helped make that path great for you and your siblings, and you're doing the same for your children. So kudos to you for changing that and breaking those chains.
I'm so grateful.
If you could have done anything differently within your your years, and I won't say how many years. I just want the audience to know that I was baffled when I found out that she could possibly be anything older than like 25. But in your years, you have experienced a lot. In doing that, is there anything that you would have changed or done differently?
I get asked that a lot, especially having to go through so much trauma. But then when I look at some people I know that or grew up with that didn't go through any of that, I see, no, I wouldn't change anything because going through that created my strength and it created me of, who I am. And if I didn't go through those things, then I wouldn't be who I am. Then I would be somebody else who's just looking for somebody to just do anything and everything for them. And, I'm a fighter. So now I don't fight physically. Now I just fight through everything else I have.
You are a fighter. You are a protector. You are resilient. You are a servant, and you're an excellent leader. And I know that you are also a grandmother.
I have 8 or 9. I lost count. Everyone have children.
Oh my goodness, your family is so big. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story, which has to be something you hold dear and close to your heart. And thank you for being brave enough to share it, because I know that it was a challenge, as you don't typically like to talk about yourself. But I do feel as though that there's going to be an audience member. There's going to be someone watching this. There's going to be a viewer that's going to see your story, resonate with your story, and the possibility that they can see themselves in it and feel energized or motivated to do something different and possibly start their BA, quickly getting their master's, then maybe going to get their doctorate, because that's the story that you told, and is currently what it is that you're doing against all odds. So again, if you haven't heard this from anyone, please hear it from me. I am very proud of you. We are so honored to have you as a University of Phoenix alumni. Before we move on to our quick rapid questions, I had one other question for you. I just want to know, with all the things that you've done thus far, what are you most proud of? What is your highest and best achievement thus far, according to you?
My highest and my best achievement would be my being a mother, but being able to take care of my mother when she needed me the most. So I was a medical assistant, and when I became a medical assistant, well, right after I did the burn section, my son got third-degree burns on both his legs, so I had to, take care of him. But going through being a medical assistant helped me be able to take care of my mom when she had cancer and before she passed. So I was there, really taking care of her. And I was able to do that because, I had, that certification as a medical assistant. And I feel like I became a medical assistant just for her.
Wow. I love your desire for knowledge. You don't just say I'll be a caretaker, which is something, at least in Arizona, I believe it's something that you can just say, I'm someone available in my family who can take care of my elderly, grandmother, mother, and, they could guide you in that way. You didn't do that. You said, let me go ahead and become a medical assistant. How long did that take you?
No, it was maybe 9 months.
A medical assistant, a plumber, a business owner, an author, a radio host, a sea moss maker, an incredible mom, a grandmother, and a University of Phoenix alumni. I know that you're going to get this 4.0 in your doctorate as well. And I want you to know that I'm not going to be able to do that with you. I have a strong 3.8. So, But I am so grateful that you were able to share all of these things with us. Thank you for your transparency, your openness, and your triumphant story. We are so proud of you. I personally am proud of you, and I know that University of Phoenix is so glad that you are an alumni of ours. I want to jump into rapid questions before I let you go.
Okay.
Remember, these are just fun, quick questions to learn a little bit more about you. So, are you ready?
Nope. Go ahead.
Okay. Nope, not ready at all. Okay, so rapid fire question number 1. Tell me a book that changed your life.
Of mine.
There's that. Which one?
The shadow work journal that helped with, that was my first one I really, really put out. I was so proud.
You should be proud. You're an author. You should definitely be proud. Early bird or night owl?
Both. Because I'm up until 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and then I go to sleep. When I go to sleep like at 3, 4, and then I'm up between 8:30, 9 o'clock. So
you sleep 4 hours a night?
For the most part, yeah.
And you wake up with all that joy. Okay, well maybe. All right. My next question is your go-to productivity hack.
You know, my go-to is always playing games on my iPad. My tablet. So I play the games in between time to give me some time to think or do something else.
Yes, to unwind. You deserve that. You do a lot. So tell me the best advice you've ever received.
To walk in my truth, always be honest and be myself. My mom taught me that.
It's very good. Very good. What's your go-to karaoke song?
LL Cool J, I Need Love.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Sometimes I sit in my room. And then what's your personal motto?
Again, to be yourself and always walk and live in your truth.
Well, you're doing just that. I can't thank you enough for sharing your story with us. Kesha, you are impeccable, and I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to meet you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you want to say? The floor is yours. Is there anything you want to say to our listeners and their opportunity in a way in which to connect with you, possibly to help with your nonprofit or to find more about your books?
My books can be found on Amazon. I worked with a lot of artists. I helped a lot of people in their career, advance in their career. I toured with different people. I met a lot of celebrities during that time. Some I didn't know was celebrities, and they'd be like, this is just so funny because I don't look at people as celebrities, though. So I look at people as people, and I try to treat them as such. And a lot of them think it's so funny that I don't be knowing who they are. I don't mean no disrespect. It's just I don't know who they are because I don't try to get in people's business. So I'm personal. So I try to keep people. But I traveled a lot, and I did a lot of things with different artists, and I tried to get out of it on several occasions because the energy just was off. I like to help people, so that's why I was doing it, to help others in their career, but I just prefer to do your thing.
Well, you're definitely doing your own thing. So kudos to you for your incredible businesses and for starting your doctorate. I can't wait to follow up with you after you start in March and see how you're doing. And obviously, I can't wait to see you walk across that stage with the most advanced degree and cheer you on. So thank you so much for joining us. That brings us to the end of this episode of Degrees of Success. I'm your host, Freda Richards, reminding you that your next chapter just might be your best one yet. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, and we'll see you next time.